joining today's session. So parents who have been with me since 11 o'clock for maths, thank you very much for continuing. All right, apologies if it ended a bit late. All right, so for parents who just joined us for science, thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. Okay, my name is Yang Iskandar. I'm the owner and a tutor at EduFront Learning Center. Okay, so for today's session, this particular session, I'm going to share with parents about how to prepare your child for PSLE Science. Okay, so science is another subject of concern to many parents. Especially, many parents are wondering or asking me about how to help the child to answer the science open-ended questions. All right. Okay. These are some of the questions that I have extracted from parents who registered. I'll answer them at the end. Okay. Tips to answer open-ended science question, motivation to do revision, she's weak with the foundation, how you can assist, and so on. So I've collated the questions, and I hope to answer as much as possible in today's session. Okay, and then the rest I will answer at the end of today's session. And if you have any question, please feel free also to type in the group chat. All right, don't worry, the questions are, the group chat is private. Nobody else can see the questions. Okay. All right, so these are the questions from parents that I will try to answer as much as I can during this session. Okay. All right. So this is an overview of today's workshop. I'm going to share with parents overview of the primary science curriculum. All right. Why you should be concerned. I know some of you are school teachers, right? Already quite expert in helping your child for science, but I think quite a large majority may not know about the science syllabus itself. So I'm going to start from zero, so don't worry about it. Okay, I'm going to start, I'm going to assume that you know nothing about primary school science. Is that okay, everyone? Can, huh? Okay, so I'm going to share with parents a little bit about the primary school science curriculum. What are some of the themes and the assessment objectives, the exam format, and so on, and how to score in primary school science. Okay, based on my experience as a school teacher, former school teacher, and also teaching P6 science for many years, and also how importantly how busy parents like yourself can help your child score in PSLE science as much as we can. Okay. So many parents tell me that, oh, Mr. I'm sorry, I'm very busy. I cannot help my child at all. So I'm going to share with parents that the help from parents is very important. We cannot help 100%, but we can do our part. All of us can do our part to help your child to get the best possible score in the final exam. Okay, in the final PSLE. Okay. So a little bit about myself. For parents who just joined us. I'm the founder and owner of EduFront Learning Center. We started the center back in 2012, okay, after I left MOE. Currently, we have 7 centers in different parts of Singapore. Myself and Cikgu Ayati, my wife, we are still very much involved in the teaching itself. Okay, like myself, I'm teaching the P6 maths and science classes. We have 7 physical centers and 1 online centers. I was a former MOE teacher and HOD at Mary Stella High Primary School, and I also taught at various schools like Yumin Primary School, Parkview Primary School, and Radhe Mas Primary School. Okay, currently I'm teaching P6 Maths and Science at the different centers, and it's not only about myself or Cikgu Ayati. We have about 120 tutors. We teach all subjects: English, Maths, Science, Malay, Chinese, from KG to Sec 4 levels. All right. Oops, sorry, I forget to record. Did I record? Oh yes, I recorded. Right. Okay. And also, I must share also that I'm an experienced P5. I got 5 children. Right, we got 5 children, and all of them have gone through PSLE. Right. So I have an experience as point of view as tuition center owner, as a tutor, as a former MOE teacher, as well as a parent who children have gone through PSLE itself. Okay, I can understand the challenges of PSLE, the anxiousness that parents face, I've gone through it 5 times, my own children, as well as thousands of times with other students as well, okay, of my students. All right, okay, why parents should be concerned about the primary school science curriculum? Now, science curriculum today is different from our time. MOE changes the syllabus maybe around every 7 to 8 years. The syllabus is changed. So how we sit for PSLE Science a long time ago is very, very, very different from today, right? In the past, a lot of memory work, a lot of recall kind of questions. But today's PSLE Science, you hardly see any kind of recall straightforward question. Okay, why? Because we are shifting towards, or we have shifted towards 21st century competency, things like critical thinking, ICT, communication skills, and so on, with AI and with internet, right? Purely remembering of facts is not useful anymore, right? So we need, students nowadays need to be taught how to think, how to process information more effectively, right? So that's why the syllabus changes according to the times, right? So we need to be concerned and we need to be updated about our understanding about the curriculum. Okay, and another thing is that it's very highly challenging curriculum and very competitive. And if we get involved in our child's education, we are more likely to be respected or look up, okay, by our child. Because why? Because we are involved in their, they cannot bluff us, right? So we know about the curriculum itself. And another thing is that a wide choice of resources for your child. Even if you cannot help your child at home, you need to understand or know the syllabus so that we acquire the right resources for your child. For example, what kind of assessment books to get for your child, what kind of, tuition center or tutors to support our children, what kind of, how are we going to approach to teach the child, how are we going to analyze the exam questions when your child shows the exam paper. Okay, so that's why all of us, right, if you have children in primary school, we should be familiar with the syllabus. Okay, and the syllabus is very easily, you can download very easily for MOE website, right? And quite easy reading. Okay. Okay, just now in the maths class, I share with parents the score for maths. So I'm going to share with parents the score for how our students perform for PSLE Science for the past 10 years. All right, so you can see this is students who score A star to C. This is the old format for the past 10 years. Right, so you can see this is the national average for passing, 90%. Right, this is a breakdown of the different community. So the Malay community, you can see just below 70%, right, for science. This is the latest information based on the new exam grading system, right? So you can see the gap is still quite wide, 70%, right? The national average is 90%. Okay. Now about the syllabus, there is a new syllabus going around, right? So if you download from the MOE website, just take note that there's two different syllabus, the new syllabus and the old syllabus. Okay, the new syllabus is the implementation starting from 2023 primary 3 cohort. So if your child is primary 3, they are using the new syllabus, right? So meaning that next year, your child is sitting for next year PSLE, you have to take note that it is the old syllabus or the current syllabus. Okay. Now, just let me share with parents now. Actually, there's not much different between the new and old syllabus. Okay, this is the primary school old syllabus or the current syllabus. Okay, it is broken down into various themes. So P6 energy, P5 and P6 interactions. So at P5, they're taught system, cycles, energy, right? So this is the old syllabus, and the new syllabus, the new syllabus, the topics are specified. from primary 3, primary 4, primary 5, primary 6. Because in the current syllabus, it is grouped together, right? Meaning that some schools, they may have thought, let's say, it's called lower block and upper block. Lower block, primary 3 and primary 4 syllabus. The problem is that some schools, they teach some topics at P5, at P4, and some schools teach certain topics at P3. Okay, so there's a bit of confusion even for tuition center like us, right? Because students from different schools, they may have learned different topics first, right? But not too much of a problem, because at the end of the day, at P6, everything will be tested, everything will be covered. Okay, so not much syllabus. One topic is removed. The topic on cells is removed in the new syllabus. Okay, but I'm assuming that the parents, most of you, your child is sitting for PSLE next year, so the current syllabus is applicable, right? So just take note of that. If you see in the books or when you download syllabus, just take note that there's 2 syllabus going around. So next year will still be 2024 will be using the old syllabus. Okay, so the primary school science framework, the curriculum designs seeks to enable students to view the pursuit of science as meaningful and useful. So meaning that we must get our child, our student, to see how they can apply science in day-to-day situation. Okay, so because science is applicable in our daily life, right? Science is very interesting, right? It's very sad sometimes if I see that the child is too much focused on getting results, that they lose touch about the interest or the interesting part about science. Science is about our daily life, how we lead our life, our body, our environment around us. Everything involves sciences, right? So it has to be something very interesting, something that the child look forward to attend science lesson. Okay, so that's how sometimes we can, on our part as parents, we need to let the child see the the importance or the relevance of science in day-to-day situation. Right. If you look at the syllabus, other than the topics, these are the various skills that the child must have, right, as part of the primary school science, right? So you can see in the middle here is process skills, right? Like observing skills, being able to compare, classify, using apparatus, equipment, right? Communicating, process skills, creative problem solving, decision making, and investigation. Okay. Right, so I'll come back to this later on. So you can see all these things are extracted from the syllabus itself. So it is not just about memorizing all the concepts and all the topics in primary school science, but the science exam, okay, or the science curriculum will test students on the various skills and processes, right? And these are the processes that they need to know as part of the syllabus. Right? And the primary school science syllabus is divided into 5 big themes: diversity, systems, interaction, cycles, and energy. So sometimes you can see this jargon. So just know that these are the big themes. Nothing, nothing to be worried about, right? And these are the topics that the school will teach at the different levels, right? Like P3, living things, non-living things, diversity of living things, materials, plant system, magnets. P4, matter, cycles. P5, cells, electrical circuit, water, and so on. At P6, so you can see next year, there are still about 7 to 8 topics that the teacher have to cover at P6. Okay, so in P6, they will learn about forces, webs of life, adaptation, man's impact on the environment, energy, photosynthesis, and so on. Okay, so you can see there are several new topics that the teachers have to teach in school. On top of that, the teacher has to revise all the P3, P4, P5 topics as well, right? So it is very little. Why I'm sharing with parents is that you may want to have your child revise the earlier topics as your child is preparing for the PSLE, right? Because the teachers in school may not have the time, or will definitely not have the time to revise on an intensive basis until they finish all the syllabus. The teachers will finish the syllabus in school sometime around August. The earliest will be in July. So August to PSLE, PSLE is end of September. So the teachers will have maybe about 1 month or so to finish the syllabus and start revising every single topics for the PSLE, right? So that is where it's very, very challenging. If you just depend on the school teachers in school to help your child to revise, will be problematic, right? So you need to ensure that your child revise the topics on a regular basis as they are learning the P6 topics as well, right? Because the P5 topics, P4 topics are very huge, right? Example, topic on heat is a very big topic, right? Topic on electricity is a very big topic, right? Topic on water, okay, and plant reproduction. These are very huge topic at PSLE. Okay, so in addition to learning the P6 topic, you need to ensure that your child start to revise the earlier topic, because definitely they will have forgotten, right? Because whatever they have learned back in P3, P4, they will have forgotten. So they need to revise on a regular basis, okay? All right, so a bit about the syllabus, the exam format. Now, unlike maths, maths is broken down into two different papers, paper 1 and paper 2, and there's a break in between. For science, there is no break. There's only one single paper, booklet A and booklet B in one sitting, and the total exam duration is 1 hour and 45 minutes. Okay, and the first booklet is, the first section is MCQ. So MCQ, you can see a 56%. It's very huge, right? The open-ended question is 44%, right? Many parents is overly worried about this section, which definitely is very, very challenging. But please ask ourselves or check, is your child already scoring 56 or close to 56 marks for MCQ, right? So because MCQ carries much more carries more marks than the open-ended section, and at the same time, more importantly, it's easier to score compared to open-ended question. And frankly, if you see your child's score, if the child is not doing well in the open-ended question, it's likely that your child is getting around 30 marks, 30 plus for the MCQ, right? So this is, you need to work both your MCQ, your child's MCQ, as well as the open-ended question, right? No doubt, yes, open-ended question is more difficult to get the marks, but do not lose sight on the easier to score MCQ question, okay? All right, so this is just my advice. Okay, about the grading system, okay, just for parents who just joined us, we discussed quite a lot about the grading system just now for maths. So just a quick overview, right? So the new grading system, it goes by achievement level. Okay, so to get into express stream, right? Of course, now you have the subject-based banding and so on. So it can be slightly, it is still evolving, right? So in general, express, you need to get, maximum score is 20. So 20 on average will be AL5, right? And you can see the big gap. AL6 is a very big gap. Majority of the students will get AL6, right? Because the gap is 45 to 64. Okay, and some parents ask, can my child jump grade? Yes, it's possible. If your child is getting AL4 at P5, don't compare P4 and P1, P2, P3. This is very different. Many parents tell me that, Mr. Yang, my child always score very well, highest in class at P2, P3. How come P5 fail? Right? P1, P2, P3, P4 is very, very, very different. The gap between P4 and P5 is very huge. Between P5 and P6 is also very, very huge. All right? So if your child at P5, I think exam currently, right? Okay, once you get the result, if your child is getting AL4, it is very possible for your child to aim for AL1. So you can set the sight to get AL1. Now, if your child is getting AL6, right, to jump to get AL5 or AL4, I think is a very, very huge achievement, right? AL6 is around 45, 50 marks. To jump to 70 plus, in the old system, you'll be an A grade, A grade is very, very good, right? Based on the old system. Okay. So this is just something about the grading, the new grading system. Right. All right. So assessment objective for science, knowledge with understanding is 40%. application of knowledge and process skills is 60%. It means that in the past, during our time when we learn science, a lot of recall questions. Now, hardly any recall question. Maybe in the entire MCQ, only one pure recall question. Other than that, you will not see pure recall question, meaning that, you know, they will not ask you like, okay, what's the meaning of photosynthesis, right? What is required for photosynthesis? What is the meaning of condensation, for example? You will not see any kind of those questions anymore, right? Those are pure recall questions. But instead, 40% will be knowledge with understanding. They need to understand the concepts. The question will be phrased in a way, maybe they show an experiment, show some kind of data, and students have to interpret. They use the process skills to interpret those data and to apply the concepts to the particular question. Okay, so 60% is the application of knowledge and process skills, where they need to apply the facts, concepts, and principles to the new situation and use one or more process skills. Now, having said that, does your child still need to memorize, remember all the concepts? Yes, they still need to memorize all the concepts. However, just by remembering all the concepts, right, your child may not even pass PSLE Science. All right, so memorizing or remembering all the concept itself is insufficient based on the current syllabus. Okay, I will share with parents why later on. Okay, now this is a CPA model which developed by myself. This is not from MOE. Yeah. Now for parents, for students to score in PSLE Science, right, in primary school science, they need to master 3 things. Number 1, they need to master the concepts. That means the concepts must be at their fingertips. PSLE is not an open book question, right? Meaning that whatever topics that your child have learned in primary 3, primary 4, primary 5, primary 6, the entire 4 years, all the concepts must be at the fingertips, meaning that they must be able to recall the concepts very easily, right? So that's the first thing that the child needs to know. If your child have difficulty remembering concepts, then problem. All right. Now, having said that, even if your child has memorized all the concepts, your child may not be able to pass science, right? Why? Because of this particular component, which is called the process skills mastery. Remember in the syllabus, I share with parents, right? The process skills mastery, all the various process skills, they need to master these various process skills, okay? And then the third component, after your child remember all the concepts, be able to recall all the concepts, well, understand all the concepts, be able to apply, be able to use the necessary process skills, then the answering technique comes, the third part. Your child be able to answer the question, must have the necessary answering technique. So all these 3 parts of all these 3 parts are very important for your child to score in PSLE Science. Okay, don't worry, I'll give some more examples. Right, I know some parents are a bit confused right now. Okay, now first, mastering science concepts. Right, now what do I mean by mastering science concepts? For example, there are many topics, right, from P3 to P6 your child has to know, your child has to memorize. Okay, so one way for your child to remember the concepts is to use mind mapping technique, right? So P5, the topic of water is taught at primary 5. So they need to know the different change of state of water, right? They need to know the 5 processes: condensation, evaporation, melting, freezing, right? And boiling, right? So they need to know, for example, evaporation. What's the difference between evaporation and boiling, right? What is the meaning of condensation, change of state from one to one, right? And yeah, so they need to know all these concepts at their fingertips. Okay, so now the problem is that some students, if your child is getting around AL6, AL7, they have even difficulty understanding, memorizing and understanding. So for example, they are confused, they mix up between condensation and evaporation, for example. All right, so condensation is change of state from gas to liquid, right? So maybe students may have mixed up, right? So, but students who are getting AL1, 2, and 3, they have no problems with that. Okay, so what I'm sharing is that if your child have difficulty remembering, right, the concepts, they really need to know. And during PSLE, at PSLE, they need to know all the concepts, all the topics from P3 to P6 at their fingertips. Okay, so one way is for them to use the mind mapping technique so that it stays in them. Okay, and this has to be done on a regular basis, cannot last minute. All right, because there's so much things for them to learn. Right, and remember, it's not only science, they have to remember other subjects as well. All right, so this is done by someone. Okay, so this is on the topic of cells, done by one of my students quite some time back. So I teach them how to use mind mapping technique so that to help them to recall the questions, the concepts. Okay. All right, and at home, what you can do is that to help your child remember the concept, understand the concept, you can bring science in day-to-day situation, right? For example, about condensation, right? So when you go to coffee shop or go to McDonald's, you can share with your child, hey, how come when you buy iced Milo, for example, there's water droplets on the outer part of the cup, but when you buy hot coffee, the water droplets is on the inside, right? Under the lid. Why is that so? This is on the topic on evaporation and condensation, right? Try to link science concept that they learn in school in day-to-day situation. Make science very interesting for the child, right? So when you go to the park or to the beach or on holiday, right, you can learn about plant reproduction. You can see the flowers, how the flowers, the pollination of the bees, wind pollination, about fertilization, adaptation. Adaptation is a P6 topics and so on. Ironing of clothes. At home, when you're ironing clothes, so you can talk about the concept of heat transfer. Concept of heat transfer, heat they learn at primary 4, right? Conductors of heat, good conductors, poor conductor of heat. Why is the handle made of plastic? Why is the plate of the iron is made of metal, for example? Okay, so, and then in the car, you can talk about conversion of energy, how the potential energy is changed into kinetic energy. You can talk about frictional force. Okay, so try to link science in day-to-day situation, make science alive, make science very interesting for a child, rather than just giving books after books, assessment books after assessment books, right? Because it's very sad to me if the child hates science, right? Because science is something very interesting, right? They should love science, right? Because science is they see science every day in their life, right? Okay. All right, so parents understand how to make the students master the concept. So this one, they got no choice. They have to remember, understand, remember, memorize, right? At P6, they must be able to recall everything, okay? Now, what about the next component? How to master the process skill, the second component, right? Remember, I mentioned that even your child remember all the concepts, may not even pass PSLE Science, because very hardly any question that you see nowadays purely on recall question, right? Okay, so remember I showed parents this, right, earlier. So this is taken from the PSLE Science curriculum itself. So these are the skills that your child needs to know, observing skills, be able to compare, use apparatus. So you can see questions on data logger, question involving setup, control setup, change variable, fixed variable, measured variable, experimental setup, right? A control setup and so on. Okay, why? All these things involve process skills. The use of apparatus, communication. Communication means the use of data, right? You can see a lot of questions in the PSLE involve graphs, different kinds of graph, funny graph, line graph, bar graph, pie graph, right? Data. So your child has to understand, interpret all this information, right? Frankly, during our time or many years ago, right, these things are taught only at secondary school, but right now they brought it down to primary school. Okay, right? So they need to be able to master these process skills. Inferring must be able to predict. So when they say graph, they must be able to predict what happens next. Okay, formulating hypothesis, they must know what is the aim of the experiment. They must know how to extract the various variables. They must be able to see the trends, right? When they are given data, they must be able to see the trends. Is this setup? Why is this setup different from the other setup, right? And then after that, they apply the concepts to the situation given. Okay, so these are the various process skills that they need to know. And now these are the key process skills which in EduFront we specially teach the student, right? One is experiment and investigation type of question, right? Comparing and observing question, how to analyze graph, how to analyze data. And the other type of question is called application question, right? So these are the various types of question that we teach the student explicitly, right? We teach the student, we have particular worksheet to teach the student on how to acquire or master these process skills. Okay. Okay, I'll show the parents. Okay. So these are some of the strategies that the students can learn or can use. But this is just, I wouldn't call strategy, right? Many parents will think, Mr. Yang, what is it? How to solve open-ended question? There's no straightforward answer that, okay, when your child remember this strategy, they can answer, right? But teachers, school teachers, tutors, we come up with framework or some methods to make them easier to solve the questions. There is no like, you know this, you confirm you can answer the questions. Okay, so these are some strategies which is developed by maybe different schools, right? Different tutors and so on. Okay, so one strategy that I see using ruler strategy, step number one, read and understand the question, underline and highlight the keywords, link the questions to the relevant topics or concepts, right? Recall the relevant information, skills and apply to the question. Ensure the appropriate answering technique is applied to the question. Step number 5, read the question again to confirm that the answer written has addressed what the question wants. Okay, so this is one framework to answer the open-ended question. Okay, there's another method here called CR method. Okay, some parents may know because your child tells you that, oh, my teacher teach this in school. Okay, what is this method? CR method, claim evidence and reasoning, especially to answer the open-ended question. Now, answering science question is different from composition question. In science open-ended question, the examiner wants to know that the child understood the science concept. So you must show science concept in the question. Cannot give a general statement. Okay, later on I'll give some example. All right, so when they answer open-ended question, first they must have the claim. When you make a claim, it is supposed to be a statement which is unsubstantiated. For example, water droplets are formed each time Sonia put the ice cube in the plate. Must have evidence. Provide evidence for your claim. This evidence must always be based on whatever in the diagram, model or table that's presented in the question. Okay, you must base on whatever picture or diagram or table in the question. They cannot take something from outside. So, oh, I have general knowledge about this, I can answer this. No, they don't expect general knowledge. A student, it's not fair if they test a general knowledge understanding. It is based on the syllabus and based on evidences that the child can see from the diagram or from the table itself. And then R, reasoning. Reasoning is the use of scientific concepts to explain your claim and evidences. All right. So reasoning, that means you must use scientific concepts. Remember I mentioned about the first concept they need to know, the scientific concept, right? All the concept, they must be at the fingertip. The child cannot even remember what's the meaning of heat transfer, right? How does what's the meaning of photosynthesis? What is required for photosynthesis, or what is given during photosynthesis? How are they going to answer? How are they going to apply? Right? So they need to use the various knowledge or the various concept that they remember to apply to answer the question or to explain whatever is going on in the question. Okay. Okay, another question or another example, the CCE technique. Okay, concept in context followed by cause or change that brings about the effect of observable action. Right? So example. Sonia and Jane were doing experiment with ice cube. Sonia puts ice cube on a plate over a bowl of hot water. After some time, Sonia sees drops of water drip from underneath the plate. Water from the melting ice cannot pass through the plate and the bowl has not moved. Explain how the water droplets will form in the bowl underneath the plate. All right. Okay, so what is the concept here? So they need to know the concept of condensation. So condensation takes place when the water vapor comes in contact with the cooler surface of the plate, right? So the hot water, the water vapor, right, comes in contact with the cooler underneath surface of the plate and condense, right? So this is the concept. So the hot water evaporated into water vapor, which loses heat. And what is the cause? What is the effect? And condense into water droplets on the cooler under surface of the plate. Okay, so you can see this strategies or technique is a framework to help the child answer the question. It is not a magic kind of solution that when the child remember this strategy, this technique, they can answer. All right, so it is a lot of thinking involved, a lot of process skills involved, as much as the answering technique. Okay. Okay, one example I will share was, okay, this is called application question. Now, there's more and more application question that you see in the science paper. Now, what does application means? Application, you don't see any kind of setup, experiment, and so on, but they will show picture of day-to-day situation, and the student must be able to recall and think what concept is applicable to this question, and then answer using scientific concept. Okay, this is taken, I think, 2 years ago, PSLE, right, during the COVID period. So, Fok Choi wore a face mask in the air-conditioned room. His spectacles became fog when he breathed. Explain, right? So, this is the keyword here. Explain why his spectacles become fogged, right? There's no other, clue given. There's no data, nothing. So, the child must be able to explain this phenomenon based on the concepts that they have learned. Okay, so let's use the CCE technique, concept, cause, and effect. So what is the concept? Condensation, right? Because fog here is tiny water droplets. If they think this fog is a gas, then they got problem. They will answer wrongly. Okay, the student must know that fog, or when our spectacles get fog, right? That is actually tiny water droplets. And this is formed due to condensation. Right? Many students think that fog is a gas, right? But it's actually tiny water droplets. Now, what is the cause? Because when we breathe out, the warmer water vapor breathed out come in contact with the cooler surface of the spectacle lens. Okay, and what is the effect? Lose heat and condense, not loosely, sorry. Lose heat and condense into tiny water droplets, right? Condensation happens because the water vapor loses heat and condense. Okay, so this is the framework, how to answer. So how to present the answers. So the warmer water vapor breathed out by Fok Choi, right? Because when we breathe out warm air, right? Why? Because our body temperature is around 36.9 degrees. Room temperature is about maybe aircon room, right? Aircon room maybe 25 degrees Celsius. So when we breathe out warm air, right, comes in contact with the cooler surface of spectacle lens, so it loses heat. The water vapor loses heat and condenses into tiny water droplets. So all these are the keywords that has to be part of your child's answer so that your child can score the 2 marks. Okay, so this is just one example of an application question and the expected answer required by your child. Okay. All right. So how busy parents can help your children at home? Okay, you need to learn the syllabus, and okay, it's very easy to remember or very easy to learn. Please download. It's very transparent, right? And science is everywhere, right? You can use science everywhere, in the car, in the bus, going for holidays, at home. Science everywhere. Okay, use incidental teaching, using things around us to help your child to like science. Choose the right resources. Okay, focus on process skills and schools resources. Okay. Now, some parents ask, what assessment books to buy for science? So science, I have not seen many good assessment books. Why? Because it's not easy to set good science question. Okay. So the best resource is the top school papers, right? Luckily for us, it's available online. So you can download or you can even purchase. They can print for you, staple, and send. right? But the only problem is that the answer key is problematic, right? Top school papers, I know if you have experience doing top school paper for science, the answer key is problematic. So just take note of that. But the MCQ is okay. Majority of the MCQ questions are quite spot on, right? And focus on the school resources, meaning that your child's science file itself, right? Get them to redo those questions that your child gets wrong in school, right? So rewrite the open-ended questions, drill them the top school papers, especially the multiple choice question. Remember, MCQ is 56%. If your child, I always tell a child, you want to do well, you want to get at least AL1, AL2, AL3, you need to score 50 marks and above in your MCQ. So please don't forget about MCQ and train them under time condition. MCQ, they must, maximum is around, no, not maximum, right? Don't do too fast, because too fast also problem, right? They get wrong. Around 40 minutes for them to complete the MCQ. So you can time that before they move on to the open-ended question. Okay, MCQ is roughly around 40 minutes for them to complete, just nice for them to complete the MCQ questions, all right? Okay, that's all I have for science. Okay, I'm going to answer parents' questions, okay, based on what you input in the registration first. Then later on, I'll go through the group chat. Okay, all right. So I'm hopefully, if there's any questions I didn't answer, you can just type me in the group chat. Okay. Firstly, what are the strategies to help my child do revision daily? They have a daily home routine, timetable, target setting, visualization. Set a target for your child. I remember I mentioned if your child is getting AL4, yes, it is reasonable to target AL1, RI, Raffles, and so on. At P5, at P5, your child is getting AL4, yes, getting AL1 is still very possible. But if your child is getting AL6, AL7, it is far-fetched. Please be realistic in the expectation and setting targets for your child. If not, your child becomes demotivated. Okay. Okay. Active monitoring and coaching by parents, preferably daily. So even your child, you send your child for tuition, any tuition center also, how many times a week? Maybe once a week, and each time 1.5 hours or 2 hours maximum. Right? What about the other days? What about the other time? Right? Cannot be the child just watch, play computer games and so on. Right? You need to help your child learn on a regular basis, especially your child is sitting for PSLE next year. Right? Remember, the teacher has to teach P6 topics, right? There will be about 7 or 8 new P6 topics at P6, photosynthesis, forces, and so on. Right? At the same time, you need to get your child to start revising the earlier concepts, earlier topics. Okay, so that's where parents come in to help your child to do a regular revision. Okay, so what assessment book to recommend? For science, only school materials and top school papers. Okay, if you want concept, remembering concept, the orange color book, that thick book, that is just good for remembering the concept, compiling all the concepts together. For science, how to answer paper 2 type of question, especially inferential question. Okay, just now I've already mentioned just now. Okay, you can refer to the CPA model, ruler strategy, CCA strategy, CR strategy. Okay, so number 1, your child needs to master or remember all the concepts. Secondly, your child needs to be familiar with the process skills. And this process skill is not easy. For example, how to draw a graph, how to interpret graph, right? This thing is not easy. If a child is good in maths, it has quite a good advantage for science, right? A lot of thinking involved. So in our tuition class, we really have to teach them. I teach them how to interpret graph. I teach them how to draw graph. We teach them how to look for keywords, right? How to underline keywords, how to interpret data. And there's a lot of variation to the question. Right? It's not that, it's not so easy, right? You need to teach, reteach. Right? Sometimes you teach them one time, the child forget, or the child may not understand 100%. Right? Maybe the child only teach 50%. You give them another style of question, they understand another 10%. Right? So we have to keep on teaching them, exposing them to different kind of questions and so on. All right? So how often should my child be practicing her work and any strategies to lessen the stress by effective learning? Daily. Okay, they must learn on a daily basis, especially if your child is taking PSLE next year. Right? So November, December holiday is the best time to catch up. Right? Okay, you know, if your child already is scoring AL1 for P5, very, very good, on the right track to get AL1. But what you can do is that you can learn in advance the P6 topics, right? Because remember, P6 is very, very fast-paced. Your teacher will start to finish all the syllabus by July or August, right? It's going to be very, very fast, lots of homework, very stressful for the child, for the parents as well, right? So please start early, in November, December. You want to go for holidays, no problem, right? But we don't go for holidays for 2 months, right? Even you know, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks holiday is fine. You can bring books during the holidays, right? So no problem. You can need a good rest, right? But you know, try to catch up, especially if the child is getting AL6, AL5, 6, and 7 at P5. Okay, because if not, at P6 it's going to be very, very stressful for everyone. Okay, how to get my child to understand science concepts and apply it accordingly? Okay, so refer to the CPA model, like I mentioned just now, right? For science, how do I get my child to explain the answer using scientific terms? He has the tendency to explain words in his own words and understanding. Okay, again, you can use templates. Okay, I just show parents some of the... okay. So for our tuition class, we have, you know, we teach them some, different types, how to tackle different type of questions. Okay, so for example, how to answer experiment and investigation question, how to answer application type of questions. Okay, we use prompts or we use templates. So for example, this is an application question, right? Example of application question. So I teach them, okay, when you see an application question, right? So what is the first thing that you need to must go through your mind? Number one, you need to observe and list the key objects mentioned in the question. Right? Observe and list the key objects. Secondly, recall and identify the science topic being tested. What topic are they tested? Obviously, they will not tell you the topics. The paper will not tell you this is on the topic of heat, for example. This is on topic of electricity. No, they will not tell. Right? The child must be able to apply. So that's why I say they must be at their fingertips. So they must be able to see this question and say, I think this is on this topic of what? Okay, then number three, identify the science concept. Now, the topic alone is not enough. For example, on the topic of, say, plant reproduction, there's so many different concepts. Pollination, fertilization, seed dispersal, germination, right? Even under germination, for example, what is the meaning of germination? What are the different ways of seed dispersal and so on? So everything they must know. And then step number four, then explain. Once they identify the keywords, the key objects, identify the topic, identify the science concept, then they are able to explain and get the 2 marks. Okay, so not easy, definitely not easy. Okay, on the right side here, this is how we teach them how to answer experiment type of question. So what does experiment means? Experiment, they show you some setup, and then they show the student either a table or graph. Okay, so how we teach the student, we use templates again. Number one, they need to identify the aim, right? What's the aim of the experiment? Sometimes the aim is given, sometimes the aim is not given. They need to infer, right? If the aim is not given, they need to identify what is the change variable, what is the fixed variable, what is the dependent variable, and so on. And then after they know all the variables, they need to analyze the data. Where's the data here? The data here given in the form of table. Okay, so this is the result of the experiment. They need to analyze. For material X, how much? Material Y is how much? Okay, and then number four, identify the key concepts. Again, they need to recall what concept is relevant to this question. Okay, this particular question is on friction, right? So they need to be able to recall the topics and the particular concept. Then after that, then they are able to apply and answer this question with precision. Okay, so you can see it's not easy. No more pure recall questions. Okay. All right. How to motivate my child to study? Okay, find barriers that will, hamper their progress, right? Especially phones, games, right? Not easy, I know, right? Okay, how manage differentiate? Okay, this one I already mentioned, right? How do we differentiate teaching in the diverse classes? All the lessons are recorded. So if the child attends any lesson, even in school, even for us, if you attend any kind of training, do we understand 100% of whatever the lecturer or the presenter is saying? No, not possible, right? Maybe we understand 50%, some student understand 60%, some student understand 70%, right? So that's why we make use of technology. We record all the lessons, and then we upload, make it available to the students, so that at any point of time, if they don't understand, let's say they are learning on this particular concept, they don't understand, hey, what is the topic on forces? I don't understand. So they can always go back and recap, okay, and relearn again all the way. We provide this all the way until PSLE. All right. They start as early as possible and so on. Okay. Okay. Now, for parents who are asking about our science program, okay, for our science program, we teach P4 to P6. Okay, we have 7 physical centers, so you can join any of our centers, right? It's the same program. Maths and science P6 level is developed by myself, right? And in fact, all the levels, right? So it's the same materials and resources, right? Even the online classes. So we offer online classes as well. Holiday workshop, science booster program, and class size of 1:12, right? So if we have, sometimes my class, frankly, I may have more than 12 students. If I have more than 12 students, we have 2 teachers in the class, myself and my assistant tutor. All right, so we keep it small, 1:12, so that we can have focus attention on the different students. Okay, and most of our tutors are NIE trained. They are qualified, they are trained by us, and a lot of them, they have prior experiences, high quality materials. We got LMS support, and we are starting all in November. So if you are keen to, you have not signed up for our science program, or in fact any of our other programs, you can just go to our website and can register, and then we can start immediately. Okay, and yeah, so a bit about the P6 program. So PSLE is end of September, right? So we are starting in November. In fact, next week, next Friday, if you have already registered for our classes, just take note that if you want to go for holiday, no problem, because we allow unlimited makeup. Meaning that, let's say, Mr. Yang, can I start, should I start later on because I'm going for 1 week holiday to Europe, for example? No problem, you can start on the 3rd of November. Every lesson is recorded. And then if the lesson that your child is absent, we can always do a makeup, right? We can do a makeup when they come back. Right, so why we want to start in November? Because of PSLE, right? Only our PSLE classes we start in November. Other classes, other levels start in December. Why? Because we want the 2 full months to recap or revise the P5 concepts. At the same time, also I want to reteach, or sorry, not reteach. I want to teach in advance some of the P6 topics, so that when the child goes to P6, they can be ahead of the class. All right, so I find that is very useful for the child. All right. Okay, so these are some of the resources. In addition to our customized worksheet, we already have printed booklets for your child, right? They just need to remember from here. We have a planner. The planner has all the study techniques and so on. Okay, this one I've already shown parents. All right. Okay, we also have a free trial class, free trial class. All right. Okay, so let me answer additional questions from parents. Okay, let me just browse through. Okay, I've come to the end of my session. Okay, so if any parents have any question, please type in the group chat. I will just browse through any question that I miss out. Okay, will you consider opening a center in Jurong East? We just opened a center in Jurong West. Okay, not too far. I know Jurong East is different, right? The nearest Jurong East is Jurong West. How much is that? Okay, the cost, we have different discounts and so on. So I think the price for one subject is $220 per month. But if you take 2 subjects, there's a 5% discount, 3 subjects, 10% discount, and so on. Okay, so the exact pricing you can speak to our admin staff. I'm not involved in the registration. Okay, so we have a team that that support us with registration and so on. Okay. Okay, very good question. Mr. Raz, I understand EduFund has a track record PSLE student, they get all A-star, RI. May I ask if you can commit to focus on enabling students with lower capabilities, as you mentioned, to at least push AL6 to AL4? Okay, now, majority of our students, I would say, belong to the mid-ability group. Okay, even my class, students who come to my class, I would say students who are getting AL1, AL2, AL3 is very, very rare. Okay, so not to worry. If your child is getting AL6, because you will say, oh, how come EduFund only students going to RI? No, right? We have student, in reality, the students who come to us, right, they are mid-ability group, right? Because that's why they need help, right? They come to us, they need help, right? Yes, so not to worry, if your child is getting EL6, majority of my students, right, they are getting around that kind of grade, right? But doesn't mean if your child is getting AL2, AL3, cannot send to us. Yes, we apply differentiated teaching and we stretch them accordingly. Okay, right? So majority of the students really need help. Sometimes we feel a bit frustrated, right? Because at P6 we are like fighting fire. Okay, but it is understandable, right? Because it's not easy. P6 PSLE is a very challenging paper for everyone, very stressful period for the child and parents as well. So that's why we are here to help. For P6 Maths, for example, if your child is getting around AL6, please join the booster class as well. Right? Even for science, you can join the booster class. In fact, all subjects. Booster class means what? We come for another lesson, which we teach the foundational, we strengthen the foundations concepts. Okay. Okay, will the science LMS be open to those who sign up for others lessons and not sign? No. The LMS is only available if you attend the particular subject, right? So, for example, if you sign up for Malay, the LMS, the lessons, the record essay is for Malay. For Maths, only for Maths, right? Okay, what's the track record for Woodlands branch score AL1, AL2 for Maths and Science? Okay, we don't specifically track record on specific branch, right? Because our students come from different class, different branches. Like myself, I go to Woodlands also to teach at different classes, different centers. Okay, so doesn't mean that one particular branch have high chances of student getting high score, the other branch cannot. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, so it doesn't matter which branch. All right. Miss Siti Haja, yes, 56 question for MCQ for booklet A. Yeah, 12 to 13 question for booklet B. Yes, that's right. Online class is just recorded clips that the teacher tutoring. Yes, correct. The tutor is tutoring, so it is the online class. It's a recorded version of what the teacher teach in the tuition class. Is it good to do the own notes? Yes, notes is definitely notes is very useful because the student learn best when they write their own notes. Okay, for example, mind mapping is a very powerful technique. It cannot be that student A do a very nice mind map and then photocopy for everybody in the whole class. No, it's a process of creating the mind map that is where the student remember. Right. Price for online, yes, online and physical class is the same, right? If your classes for online class and physical class is the same. So online class, the difference is that the materials is delivered to your child on a monthly basis. So before the start of the month, we'll post to your child. For the very first lesson, we'll send by, I think, Lalamove or Grab, right? Because you get the files and so on. Subsequently, we'll send the materials on the monthly with the physical copy itself. So your child don't have to come down to the center. Even for marking and so on, is uploaded. Everything is purely online, right? So the price is the same, right? In fact, you can switch. If you, at first, we have students who study online and then they say that, okay, I think my child, online doesn't work for my child. You can switch to a physical class at any of our physical centers, right? The price is the same. Everything is the same, right? So like I say, online, yes, it works with some students, right? Because of the especially if your child is very disciplined, and it's very convenient as well, right? You don't have to send and so on. I know the convenience is there, right? But you feel that your child works, study better physical class, right? It's best to send for physical class, because physical class tutor, we can really see what the child does, right? We can monitor, in online class sometimes the child, of course, we use various techniques to engage the students, even online classes, right? But if your child is, needs the attention better, so it's better for physical class, right? Okay, any other questions, parents? Any other questions? Okay. Okay, no questions. No questions, huh? Okay, will we get a chance to talk to our child class teacher to find out about development? Yes. Okay. You can just arrange an appointment. Just WhatsApp our admin staff, then say that, okay, I want to speak to the teachers any point of time, before class, after class, right? Even through phone call is possible. All right. So not to worry about that, because it's our job to share with parents about how the child is developing in class. Okay. All right. Okay, if there's no other question, thank you very much for joining the session this morning and the science session. Okay, appreciate the patience and the cooperation from our parents. Okay, there's a few more session coming up. I think there's a Cikgu Ayati coming up at 2 o'clock. I think she has a session. If you have your child attending a Malay class, or you want to know more about our Malay classes, PSLE Malay, so you can log in, but not this Zoom link. I think you'll be given another Zoom link for Cikgu Yati's account. We got 2 Malay session today. I think one on Karangan, the other one is how in general PSLE, and tomorrow we have a parent workshop on English as well as Chinese. All right, another one on study skills. Okay, so thank you very much for joining, and thank you very much also for your support. I know a lot of you send your child to our classes. I'll do our very best to help your child, and through this sharing, we hope that we can partner together and work together and to get the best possible outcome for our students. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Okay, bye bye everyone.